Welcome to Baseline Thoughts, the podcast where we take a deep dive into all things basketball. We explore the ins and outs of the sport we all love. Grab your headphones and get ready to talk hoops with Baseline Thoughts. Welcome to Baseline Thoughts. I'm your host, Marcus Bullock, joined as always by producer Jason Brice. Jay, how we doing today?
Hey, not bad, man. You know, always navigating, my G.
I hear that. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for all the views we've been getting, all the feedback, even the criticism. You know, it's good. That's how we grow. So any thoughts you guys have are more than welcome. As long as they make sense. Don't come with anything crazy. You know what I'm saying? So we are on episode 6. Our guest today is going to take us down a bunch of different avenues. This young man has been in a lot of places and seen a lot of things. So I'm super excited to introduce Sam Serata. Sam, how you doing today?
I'm good, Mark. Appreciate you guys having me on. Overdue, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. So I reached out to Sam. Actually, you don't even know this. I was called when I texted you the other day. I wanted you to coach a game for me. Right. I asked where you were, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in Maryland." And then he was actually watching the episode, and he texted me back with the screen. I'm like, "Oh, that's dope." And he's like, "I want to come on." I'm like, "Let's do it." So, you know, this is as we get into it, you're going to see that this guy's been everywhere. He's met a lot of people. He's been in a lot of pretty cool rooms. So I'm excited to get into it. So you are a 2019 graduate of Cherry Hill East, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Played on the varsity team for 3 years, right?
Yeah, 3 years varsity.
3 years varsity under legendary coach Dave Allen, who we've talked about a bunch on this show.
Legend.
So just take me through your high school career and you know, tell me about it.
So I was 3 years on varsity, got there in 2015, played freshman ball my first year. Kind of was like, went to East games growing up, saw like, I came right before Jake Silpy. I'm sure a lot of people know Jake Silpy. He was a legend at East. So I got to watch him play. Then I was on the freshman team, had a good freshman year, but never got moved to JV. Was just a kid who just, stayed solid. Thought in my head that I probably should be moved up there. Like I played with other kids that I played with growing up.
Every kid in every place.
Yeah, like everybody. Right? You always think that, but kids were getting moved up ahead of me, and I was like, just staying the course. So, and then I think I took a big jump my sophomore year, and ended up being the sixth man, like in the rotation for I think we won 19 or 20 games, so a pretty solid team my sophomore year. We had a lot of success, beat a really good Lenape team, had some really good wins. Ended up losing to Lenape, I think, in the quarterfinal or the semifinal. I'm not sure. They went on to make it to the final or the semifinal that year. And then, my junior year kind of took a bigger role into being one of the guys on the team. And individually had a pretty good year. I think I scored like 450 points. So I had a solid year, but our team was not great. It was actually, I think, the worst under Dave Allen ever. So we butted heads a lot, but individually it was good. And then senior year was better, but still not great. So, I was a lot of ups and downs, but individually was good, but as a team, not great.
So I remember you. I think and you can correct me if you disagree. I think your junior year was your best year.
Yeah. My junior year,
individually, especially.
Yeah. I had a lot, like all the confidence in the world. Yeah. Had a good summer. Lost some weight. Just was feeling good for sure. And I was playing alongside a guy, obviously, Carl, who I've been playing with forever, and we had just, we had good chemistry and kind of played off each other, but. It didn't go the way as a team we wanted to, but individually was definitely a good year. Now,
after your junior year, was college basketball in your mind at all, or were you kind of just not? That's not the route you really wanted to go.
I'll refer back to this as the episode goes on, but like me as who I was in high school is like a complete 360 of who I am now. So like I think in high school I just liked the idea of, I was never, this because you coached me a lot growing up. I was never like the guy on any team that I ever played for, kind of just like help out where it's need. I'm happy if I get in the game. That's where I started off, and then I was like kind of develop more of a competitive edge, and then I was like, once I saw that, oh shit, I could like be pretty solid, then I kind of just ran with it and kind of got a lot better. So by the time I was a junior, I wasn't really like thinking like, oh, I need to go send my tape to coaches. I need to go to all these. I was never really big into AAU. I was never really big into all that. I was just happy to play for Cherry Hill East and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was on my mind. Yeah, I'd have like in the summer events, I would have, talks with coaches, and coaches would invite me to, some to their universities to like look at places, but not really, honestly.
Gotcha. Cool. So you played for Dave Allen, who I'm on record to think is the best coach, in this area. What kind of impact did he have on you? How was he as a coach? Anything you specifically remember about your days playing for him?
Yeah. So I think I can say on record that because I've watched a lot of other episodes and I know his name definitely came up a lot. I think I know him and been around him probably more than any player that he's ever coached. And I have so many stories, but when I think him as a coach, I'll start with that. As a coach, he's going to be the most prepared guy every single game he comes into. His attention to detail is unbelievable. His knowledge of the game is unbelievable. And I think his big thing is just being able to connect with kids. He's like, my relationship started with him in the classroom before the basketball court. And there's just been so many kids that there's so many stories that he's just fully, and me included, just fully impacted and changed their lives. And that's why I think is that's like the most thing I respect the most with him. But as a coach, I mean, he's, fiery, competitive, like when it's in the heat of the moment, he wants to win more so than the players. And he gets the most out of his players. He's taken teams that you would pick last in a park. Yeah. And he would take them to beat teams that you would never expect that to happen. So I think his ability to get the most out of his guys as a coach is unbelievable. But his biggest trait and asset is his ability to, connect the group and connect with players and really just be involved in their lives as a high school. And I think that as a high school coach, I think that is like the main goal is like being able to like really help these kids, not some like through basketball, but really just because there's so many stories that I'm sure if he ever makes his way onto the podcast,
which he will,
that he can go into further detail. But just he's one of the best coaches for sure.
Now I've been around Cherry Hill East basketball a lot. Mm-hmm. When you were there, since you've been there, and one thing that I think Dave is known for is kicking people out of practice.
Oh yeah.
Were you ever kicked out of practice?
Yes, I was.
Tell me that.
I've been kicked out of practice. I've been kicked off the team. But
you've been kicked off the team. Okay,
yeah.
Give me one of those stories.
All right. I could give you a story. All right. So it was my junior year, 2017, and I think we were off to a pretty good start. I think we were 4-1. We hadn't really played anybody that good, but I think we were off to a decent start. And maybe we were maybe it was a little bit deeper than this. We were off to a good start, whatever it was. But the Eagles had won the Super Bowl. And they didn't.
Sorry, I don't mean. Did you hear that? Okay.
Oh yeah, the Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl, which was obviously a big time.
Life changing.
Yeah, part in this in this community. So
I'm sure.
You got to celebrate. It hasn't happened in however many years, and
it's never happened. What are you talking about? It hasn't happened.
Yeah,
it never happened.
It never happened. So once it comes around, you gotta celebrate it. So
school's out.
I definitely celebrated that day. School was not canceled, but it was one of those days where kind of everyone just went to the parade. And I don't drink anymore. But I did back in those days, and had maybe a little bit too much to drink. And we had practice, and he's one of those dudes like, I know everyone's going to be there in the city doing whatever. That's fine. Miss school, okay, but you got to be at practice. We had a game. I don't know if we had a game the next day. I know we did. We had a game coming up, and it was a conference game. I think it was Eastern or Cherokee or one of those teams like that. And, like most of I played with a lot of kids that were very respectful and, they just did the right thing. So I'm respectful. I do the right thing, but, I wanted to have fun. That's my team. That's my team. So had some fun. And for anyone that was in Center City on the day that the parade was, the train station just fully broke down. Like there was no, like they wouldn't allow people on the train. It was it was a mess. And Ubers were like $300 right over the bridge. It was insane. So I ended up coming to practice. However, I got there, and I was not in the right state of mind. And he roams around before practice, so like we were just stretching and warming up, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I'm like talking to my assistant coaches, saying like clearly something wasn't up, and then ended up having to make it to the bathroom, and that was that. So it was he was not happy. The rest of my teammates were running, and it was not good.
So that's a much deserved.
Yeah, much deserved. That's nothing against against him.
That's a much deserved.
But yes, that was I have been kicked out of practice. Unfortunately.
All right. So next step, you decide to go to University of Maryland.
Yes. So fast forward a couple years after my high school career, I made the decision not to play basketball in college, and just go I don't want to say normal, but just average student route.
Yeah.
Went to Maryland, great school. I loved it, and.
So you become a scout player for the women's team.
Yes.
Now the women's team at Maryland is legit. It's one of the top teams in the country every year.
Oh yeah.
So how did that happen? Like how does that even become an option?
Yeah. So I got there, and I had doubts about basketball, whatever. I wanted to make sure it was like that was been the only constant in my life for so many years, and it was like a big step for me, kind of just that not really being a thing anymore. So I definitely was looking into other avenues to still stay involved with basketball. So I had a buddy that went there that was 2 years older than me, that was working with the women's basketball team. And as like not dumb, but as a kid is still young and thinks, okay, it's women's basketball. Like, why would I ever want to get involved in that? He was like, you should check it out. It's amazing, and it's get a good sweat, and it's competitive. And I'm like thinking, all right, whatever. And so I signed up, texted one of the assistant coaches, got there, and never really looked back. It was an unbelievable experience. So basically, what it is. Every high major, I think, maybe even others, will have a team of scout guys that are just, I guess, washed up high school players, or just kids that are decent basketball players.
You got to be able to play.
You got to be able to play. You got to be in shape.
Yeah.
It's and you're just really practicing against these girls because I'm the first to stand by a woman in talent wise, but I mean it's a similar comparison. Skill and physicality wise. You're coached like you're on the team when you're there. You get gear, you get fed, you get flown to places, you get to go to games. It's like a step up from a manager without the responsibility. It's kind of just like you're on the team for practice, but then when it comes to games, you kind of just you develop you feel like you're part of a team. And for me, that was great. It was like I'm not performing on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, but I'm there behind the scenes. You get to see what it's like to a high major college basketball coach, like how she runs her practices. And Maryland is, I mean, they've won national championships, they won Final Fours, they get the best players in the country, and it's been unbelievable for me. So yeah, it's been great.
Good.
Were you able to sit on the bench? Did you sit on the bench? Or
yeah. So we would, for away games, they'll take normally 2 or 3 guys for different trips, and you just be on the bench. I mean, helping out, bringing chairs out,
sure.
or water, stuff like that, like kind of fulfilling manager roles there. But they'll bring you out. I mean, they'd fly semi-private, like how an NBA team would fly. So it's a great experience. So they'll take you basically kind of like a manager there that day, or kind of just helping out. But you're sitting on the bench seeing the game. So it's amazing.
Yep.
So you talked about see how a coach runs her program. Now University of Maryland coach Brenda Fries is a legend.
Yeah.
She's been there for a long time, like you said, won national championships. Just talk about her and what you've noticed about her as a coach, and just kind of how she runs her program and the respect she has.
Yeah. So I've been there for a while. So I've kind of college basketball. I think we all can understand has changed a lot over the last couple of years.
For sure.
How you have to manage your team, and everything's like 1 year now. But the first thing I realized with her is because the only exposure I had to a coach was my high school coach,
right.
which was very fiery and very in your face, and which definitely is effective. But she was more of like a mom. It felt like than a coach. Like she was so good at bringing a group together, whether it's transfers or people from because they would recruit from all over the country. So you'd have girls from Baltimore, people from the inner city, people from the mountains, like from Montana, from Slovenia, from all these type of places. And she was able to bring these players together, and was always so big on bonding moments and bringing the girls over to their house and doing all this stuff, let alone the X's and O's. All that stuff speaks for itself. She's super decorated and still on the younger side. And she's, I think, one of 4 active coaches that have the national championship. So right. she's just an unbelievable recruiter, great person, and she runs a really, 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 really good program.
That's awesome. So your second year there as a scout player, a player by the name of Angel Reese shows up. Mm-hmm. How was she as a player? I mean, we know how she is now. How was she as a player? Was she as feisty and fiery as we know her to be today?
Yeah, Angel, that's my girl. We and her, we hit it off the first practice, because I'm not I was one of the better guys. So and you generally talk a little shit. So and most of the girls, they don't, they'll either shy away. That's where you kind of find out who's who.
Yep.
So she came in, and she was the number 2 recruit in the country. She was this big time 5-star. She came in not I'm the best one, but she came in, similar to how she is now. She hasn't changed much. Was fiery. She was talking shit. She was, in your face. But yeah, me and her, we still have a good relationship, but had a great relationship. She was very similar to what you see now, aggressive, in your face, going to grab 20 rebounds, make layups. Good player, but she's also got a softer side to her, where I was able to see kind of being day to day in practice, where she really does care for her teammates, and behind all that talking is just an average, just college girl. I was able to see that. I didn't really realize that what it was until now. I'm seeing how big of a stage she's on now.
Let me ask, if you don't mind. You said she was grabbing rebounds and stuff like that. So was she getting triple doubles, or what? How many rebounds we talking? 15?
So when she started, she was there a freshman year and got injured, and that team was really, really good. She played on her sophomore year.
Okay.
So I think she was the 6th man or woman. She was the 6th man. And she was getting 20 minutes a game. She wasn't putting up great. I mean, she'd have a game where she'd have 18 and 10. Or when you play for these powerhouse programs, it's you're gonna have. There's so much. That team had so much talent, so much talent, and so many girls that have been there for so many years that kind of commanded the ball before her.
Gotcha.
But she definitely was on the glass, blocking shots, yelling, kind of being that energizer on the game. Okay. But in practice, she was, there's some guys that are good players, but there's some other dudes that she was killing. Moving, and I was she's strong, moving people, blocking their shot. I wasn't seeing it. There was no, since I've been there really hasn't been anybody that's really moving.
Wow.
And she was strong.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you see her becoming the cultural icon and almost household name that she is today?
It's tough to say. Obviously, no one would ever predict that.
Right.
What she's one of the biggest female athletes in the world.
Right.
So, I don't know if I predicted that, but if you told me, oh yeah, Angel is one of the best players in the country. She won a national championship, and she's, letting everyone know, I will believe you. She talks, but she backs everything up. Yeah. She's a heck of a player, a good person. I think she gets a bad rep at sometimes, but someone's got to play a villain. And I think she plays the role perfect.
And I think it seems like she enjoys playing the villain.
I think deep down she definitely does. But, I think at times it can be tough,
I agree.
With social media and community, especially being a woman and in that role. People are not used to that. I think that's a whole different conversation, but I think she does. She's been the villain on the court. She's feisty. She's in your face, but she's not a bad person by any means. Gotcha. I think that's what the rap she kind of gets online.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. So now fast forward a little bit to 2021. You joined the coaching staff at Camden High.
Yeah.
Camden High, looking back on it now, that team had 7 Division I players. From all, from the highest of the highs to mid-majors to whatever it was. How did that opportunity present itself? How did you end up at Camden High?
Yeah. It presented itself in a weird way, kind of. I was back from school, kind of going through a little bit of stuff and just trying to find my way. Basketball, again, been the only constant in my life at the moment. So, it was like after COVID, like just, I was in like a little bit of a weird spot and I wasn't in school. So I was back here. And I really just want to stay involved in basketball. And I actually, Jerry Lease, I was with Coach Allen. They had a game at Peak Skills around the corner. And they had that big summer league, and East was playing, and Camden was playing right after them. And I knew they were coached by Rick Brunson at the time, who I had known a little bit in the past. We would backtrack. We'd play pickup. Like when I was in high school, he would play pickup on one side, and his son would work out on the other side. And he would pick me up because he saw some of our games. He would pick me up, who no one ever thought was good. And we'd play against all these older guys, and like we would win like 15 games in a row. And he was getting up there in age at that point, but he could still play at the time. Yep. For sure. He could still play. So that's kind of how I was introduced to him. And then once we got to Peak Skills that day, kind of just rekindling that relationship. And after all their games, they would go to OS. So all the coaches would go to OS from Camden High. And me and Dave met him over there and kind of was like, if you need a coach, if you need anything at all, like any help, like I would definitely love to help you guys out. And he's got a persona about him for sure that's like very hard, edgy on the outside, kind of tough to talk to at sometimes, very hard to approach. He's kind of got, not giving him too much credit, like this little aura about him where it's like you don't really want to approach him. So that conversation was definitely tough, but especially at the age I was at, but I was happy I was able to have it with him. And I'm just thinking there's just no way this dude is like, he's the ex-NBA player, son's in the NBA at that time. I think he's playing for the Mavericks, coaching the best team in the country. Like this dude's going to be like, screw this kid. Like right. He's not like, I don't know. I mean, I know him a little bit, but nah, like he's never going to get back to me. It ended up working out. I think a lot of it had to do with Dave Allen. Him and Dave are close. So I think just him vouching for me helped out a lot. And that's kind of how it happened. And yeah.
So what did your role end up being on the staff?
We had 30 assistant coaches, like probably the biggest coaching staff of all time, NBA included. I didn't realize it before at the time that like everyone wanted a piece of this team Absolutely. In the area. Yep. So it's like if you were the janitor, you wanted of Camden High, yep. You wanted to be on the coaching staff. If you were the freshman, JV, anyone, they all wanted to get on the staff. And I think they had a great staff. They had a core group of 3 guys that had been there for a while. A guy named Mo, a guy named Ern, and a guy named Dave Williams. Those guys were the 3 assistant coaches. Then they had the freshman coach and the JV coach. And then I was just kind of in there, just, I did a lot of film, like breaking stuff down. Like Well, they didn't believe in film. They definitely valued what I did, but it was like they really needed film for like 3 teams the whole year because they were like every team around here. There was no film that was going to justify what they were going to do to teams like Cherokee. No disrespect to Cherokee, but just they didn't really have to scout for teams around here. So yeah, I was like, I was assistant coach, but did a lot of film stuff, did a lot of getting scouting reports to kids and stuff like that. So yeah, that was my role.
Excuse me. Talk about DJ Wagner. At the time, number 1 player in the country. I think he finished after the end of the senior, maybe 3 or something like that. And even, you had a guy like Aaron Bradshaw, who I think moved his way up to 3 at points. And, so you're running around with top players in the country. Like you said, you're one of the top teams in the country. Just talk about, especially with DJ, what that was like. Like, what was it? You guys were considered rock star. Like, everywhere you went, it was sold out. Like, what was that like?
Yeah. Honestly, not what I would expect at all. Like, before coming into it, was like, I had no idea. I mean, I knew his dad. I knew his dad was a superstar.
Yeah.
And I heard stuff, and you hear things like, okay, this kid's number 1 player in the country. It was unbelievable. Like, everything, and Camden High's got a small gym, but everything's sold out. People are following this kid around. Everyone's trying to get a piece of him. Everyone's talking online about him, bad or good. It's just, and the thing about him, talking more about him, that I admire the most is that, like, I know people could say this, but like, he is just the perfect kid. Like, straight A student in the classroom, first one to practice, last one to leave the gym, great teammate, never, no bad body language. A good story about him is I'll hand out scouting reports, right, for every single game. And we played, who did we play? I think it might have been Bishop Eustace, who's good around here. Bishop Eustace got a good team, but, it was tough at times playing against these teams.
Right.
Because, like, you're going 3-4 games where, like, you're beating teams by 40, 50 points. And it's tough to get up for all these games. Yep. And I'm writing these scouting reports. I'm taking time in my day to do these scouting reports. And I know none of the kids are reading them. Because I'm like, well, I wouldn't read them either. Because, like, what am I don't need to know about Johnny from Bishop Eustace, the number 5 player in the country or whatever. Like, I already know we're going to destroy them. So a good story about DJ, just to kind of show everything I just said, was I was curious on my end. I didn't even tell Rick or anybody else that I was doing this. So I'd write the scouting report. It was detailed, everything, their sets, the player personnel and everything. And on the last page, in the last paragraph, I wrote, if you got this far, text me, of my number and everything. No one texted me except him.
Oh, wow.
The number 1 player in the country. We're playing a Tuesday, freezing cold out. He could have just went out, did whatever he had to do. The number 1 player in the country. He's the only one on the whole team that texted me saying, hey, I got this far. I just want to let you know, like, I just read the entire thing on a team that we ended up beating by 70 points.
Right.
And he probably had 40. So that was, I mean, you can't speak highly. I mean, every single away game we went to after the game, they had 2 security guards and kids would line up for autographs and pictures. And he'd have to take 20 minutes and he took every single time we went, did not matter the kid. He would take a picture, sign an autograph, do everything. First one at practice, great kid, never got in trouble. Like, you can find, like, I'm trying to find ways to, like,
that's cool,
to say something bad, but it's like you can't even find it. His parents did an unbelievable job with him, and obviously he's a phenomenal basketball player.
Now, looking back at that whole era, and you were only there for the 1 year?
Yeah, I was only there for 1 year.
Okay.
Yep, his junior year.
So looking back at that era, you had the I mean, on that specific team, 7 kids went D1, but there were kids before that with the Woodleys, the Lance Wares, that also, made it to Division I schools. And even now, after that, there's, you have the Billy Richmonds who are from last year. Would you consider that whole project, experiment, experience, would you consider that a success for Camden High?
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of people on the outside look at it as they cheated, they're getting kids from other places, all this stuff. But I think internally, like when I was there at least, it was kind of just like, in my opinion, it's worth it because that just brought these kids closer together. And I know I just talked good about DJ. It's Sion, Rasheer Fleming, Elijah Perkins, all these kids were like, gave something. Like they would have been the best player at Eastern. They would have been Desir Haskins and Boog. They'd be the best player. I'm blanking on where they're from, but their high school.
They could have been from Holy Cross, but it's okay.
These kids would have been the best player at whatever high school they were, but they whether it was done legally, illegally, however you want to put it, they all came together and just, they had a phenomenal high school experience. And I think being a player and now kind of being a coach also, like, that's all it's about. You got kids now transferring all over the place, trying to play at all these, Catholic League, nothing against Catholic League, but all these other schools where it's like, just stay where you're at, or just, it's all about your experience. Like if you could go somewhere and you're going to play and you have a chance to win, go there.
Yeah.
But if you have your trainer, no backlash to trainers, but if you have your trainer or someone telling you, oh, you're too good for Cherry Hill East. I know I'm kind of off a little off track here.
No, you're good. You're good.
You're too good. You're too good for Cherry Hill East. You should go to Archbishop Wood. And then you're a senior at Archbishop Wood and you played 5 minutes where like Cherry Hill East is competing for championships, playing in front of way more people.
Right.
That's kind of, when I was at Camden, I was just like, these kids, they all could have been the best player at wherever they were at, but they came together. They had a bunch of really, really good seasons. COVID obviously affected like them from a championship standpoint, but they won state championships. They didn't get the final goal of a tournament champion, that was the year I was there when we did lose to Roselle at the end. But they played for, I don't know much about Malik Waynes, but I can speak. They played for a phenomenal coach who again maybe a little hard on the outside, but is a great guy and got those kids to play hard and play together. And I think they had an amazing experience. I think, is it a success? I feel like that's more of like a media topic where it's like, success is measured by, I feel like, your experience. So I think those kids had an amazing experience. They won a bunch of games. They played in front of thousands of people on national television all over the country. And now they're all going to college for free, majority of them. Right. So I think, I definitely think that it was a success by that point, for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think the main thing that I think people around here in South Jersey got caught up with those kids coming together, they didn't come together to beat up on Bishop Eustace, to beat up on Camden Catholic. That was never the goal. The goal was bigger than that. And the goal was to play on a national level. Mm-hmm. But just a byproduct of that was they had to play Bishop Eustace. They had to play Camden Catholic. But they came together to play the Montverdes like they did. Right. And the McEachern or whatever it is down in Georgia, the Sierra Canyons. That was the whole purpose of it. And I think the people in South Jersey were upset by that because – a byproduct of them coming together was they still had to play that South Jersey schedule. Yeah. And, they wanted to win a state championship, of course. Right. But I think that it was bigger than that. And I think that kind of is what got missed by a lot of the haters that were in South Jersey.
There was a lot
I think it was just bigger than that. And listen, DJ's freshman year, we were part of the tour where, they put 40 on us, I was a part of it. So, but it was just bigger than South Jersey. And I don't think they ever, like you said, they had to play those games. That was just a part of it. So, I agree. I think with success, all those kids, were or are in schools, whatever level it may be at. And I think at the end of the day, as a high school coach, that's the goal, is to get your kids into college.
Right, get your kids into places maybe they wouldn't be if it wasn't for you or wasn't for basketball. And I think Rick did an amazing job with that. And, being, coaching obviously the highest level, he was able to, get these kids. And a lot of them are having success now at the next level.
They were the number one team in the country, right?
We were the number one team in the country before we played Montverde.
Yeah. We played Montverde.
Yeah, that Montverde.
So when y'all played Sierra Canyon,
Sierra Canyon was after Montverde. So
22.
Montverde, they were on a 44-game win streak.
Oh, wow.
That was the last loss was DJ's freshman year against Roman at Cherry Hill East.
That's right.
That team had like
I remember.
Jalen Duran and a lot of really good players. Yeah. They had lost that game with Lance when DJ was a freshman. And they hadn't lost. I mean, they had some good wins. They beat like Evan Mobley's team. Yep. They had some good wins before I was there. And then we got there. We won a bunch of games. Beat a lot of Jersey teams. Beat Roselle. Mm-hmm. Beat a couple other teams. Beat a team from Delaware. They had Jalil Bethea was at Miami. He was on that team. So then we got to Montverde, and those boys were
in Florida, right?
Yeah, it was in
Trenton.
It was in Trenton.
Oh, wow.
At an invitational, and it was like I was doing the scouting report, and I'm looking. I'm like, the last dude on their bench is going to Maryland, and I'm like, we have two guys going to Kentucky, and everyone else is mid-major. So it was like we had trouble bringing. It was like 20-0.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, it was. It was. Oh, wow. We were all juniors. They were all like seniors that had never played at Montverde, and that's how. I mean, you just stay there until it's your senior year, and then you get to play, and then you're like the best team ever. So, yeah, that team had so many NBA players and so many high college players. But I think it ended up being kind of close. But it ended up losing by like 15 or something like that. But it was They were dominant. They were dominant, and we ended up losing to Calvary Christian that same year. Yeah. In Boston. They had a kid who actually got drafted really high last year. I forget his name, but he went to the Jazz. He was a lottery pick. He killed us. Some of the other guys killed us. And yeah, the thing I remember about that game was I'm thinking like we're ready to go. We're in Boston, so we take the bus up there. That team they're from Florida. They got every type of equipment on their head and everything but their shoes. All these kids, there's 6 minutes in the clock wearing lab lines, and none of them are wearing shoes. Like they're getting taped up. They did not warm up. And I'm like, we're about to blow these kids out the water. These kids put their shoes on, picked up full court, and we got blown out by 30.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. I was like, these kids didn't even warm up. They were a team from Florida. They were
tough.
That team was pretty good.
So you still were number one in the country though that year, right?
That year we were number one in the country, and then I don't know what we finished.
And number one in New Jersey?
Number one in New Jersey. We were number one in New Jersey all the way up until, I guess, the last ranking where Roselle beat us.
So you were number one in New Jersey, and you were also number one in South Jersey, too. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. That's what I wanted to
South
say.
Jersey.
We have a lot of South Jersey. I kept hearing this.
That South Jersey and North Jersey are two different things.
It's just Jersey. I don't understand.
No, they're definitely different. Central, I don't know about Central, but North, South, definitely a difference there. But yeah, they were number one in all of that.
Good.
So let's get back to Coach Brunson.
Okay.
Like you said, he has a reputation as being very tough. And I think it's very similar to what you were talking about, Angel Reese, is on the outside, it's very tough, it's very brash. But as you get to know him, you can he's a good guy. Like he takes care of things that need to be taken care of. Just speak a little bit more on him as a coach and kind of your relationship with him.
Yeah, he's so the coaches that I've talked about between Dave, Allen, Brendan Freese, and now Rick are all different. But I think Dave and Rick, they kind of coach with not fear, but they kind of coach with like an authoritative way, where it's like, this is what we're going to do. If you don't do this, there's consequences.
Right.
So I think his coaching style, he's a John Chaney disciple. He played for Coach Chaney, and I'm a little too young to know too much about him, but I know he's a phenomenal coach. That was a little crazy, but in good ways. But he was hard on these kids in a way where he just wanted the best for them. So his coach, his practices were tough. A lot of conditioning. He's making sure that these kids were in very good shape. But yeah, again, end of the day, he's just, wants these kids to move on and into college and, have great careers. And I think a lot of them didn't realize it in the moment, but I still keep in touch with a lot of these kids, and a lot of their college experience is very similar to the high school, and saying that this guy prepared us so much for college practices, because his practices, they were tough, but he was, at the end of the day, he's a tough guy, but he's a jokester. He loves to crack jokes. He's always, you don't never take everything as a grain of salt when you're around him. He's going to he might crack on you, but he's kind of, I feel like he's just trying to test you to see like, oh, like, are you going to cry if I make a joke about the color of your shoes or this, and kind of just test you to make sure. But he's a great guy. He really he saved me. He helped me a lot. Like that time in my life, like when I was home from school, like right after COVID was a really tough time, and he like took a chance on me. So, and helped me out in that time. So I'll never have anything bad to say about him. As the media and other people got a lot of bad things to say about him. But me, no, I don't. He's a great dude in my opinion, an even better coach.
So with your relationship with Rick, you spoke a little bit about Jalen being around as well. Did you work with Jalen at all in development or anything like that, or were you with him at all?
Yeah, it was more through Dave. I talked about Dave Williams.
Yep.
He was an assistant coach at Camden High for 3 years. He was there before I was there, and him and Rick are real tight. And he's got a good story about kind of how he started at the bottom, working that next level with Omar. And he used to train Jalen, and then Dave kind of just slowly took the reins there. And I think started training Jalen when he was at Nova, one of his last years at Nova, Wayland Player of the Year. And he's now kind of just taken into a full role of being his trainer. So, again, like that Camden connection kind of helped me get it. I mean, I'm good friends with Rick's daughter and Jalen's sister. I went to high school with her, graduated in the same class. So there was always a connection, but I hadn't known Jalen that well. And one summer Dave was like, if you want to help rebound or, set screens, pass balls, like we can use the help because they train down by the shore. And I'm down there all the summer. So it was easy for me and easy for him. So I over All-Star break also that year when I was with Camden, worked with him. But I've been probably 2.5 summers or 2 full summers and the other half of the year, like just kind of getting to see him work and getting to see like all the work they put in. And that's another thing with Rick is like him allowing me to be, he doesn't let anyone be around Jalen or around anything. So for him to let me be around Camden High and then also be around his kid I was very grateful and really cool to see like how he works.
Does Jalen's success, and I mean success, obviously, I think, after Nova, I think we all thought he was going to be a good NBA player, but he's a top NBA player. Does that surprise you at all?
Does it surprise me? No, because once you see the work, then you're like, oh, it all makes sense now. But does it surprise me a little bit? Like I follow basketball pretty good amount, and again, I was in school with his sister, so I knew Jalen Brunson, like the basketball player when he was at Villanova, and I knew they were from Cherry Hill, which is where I'm from. So I knew they had the connection. But he played high school basketball in Chicago, so I didn't really know him as a high school player, but I knew him as a college player, and he was solid, like really good player in high school, but like, wasn't, if you looked at the stat sheets, you'd be like, oh, like he was good, but he was not like the best player on the team or anything. But then he's winning National Player of the Year. And I'm like, oh, wow, this kid's pretty good. But then he goes second round and you're thinking what everyone else is thinking, honestly.
Right.
Like, this kid's going to be a serviceable backup for the rest of his career.
For a while.
Which is unbelievable, which means you're still one of the top 100 players in the world. But so that surprise, yes, because now I'm like, this dude's might be the MVP of the league.
Right.
So, but then once I got in the gym and I really see like the dedication that he had, like, because I was with them, like in the gym with them, like kind of over that off-season period where he was done with Dallas and was a free agent. And I don't know, like any of the logistics stuff. I would just kind of see it from the outside in, but like just like tuning all that stuff out and really working on his game, and the stuff that he does is so consistent and everything's done to 100%, and they're doing a lot of the same stuff every single day. And just, it's unbelievable that someone that size is able to do what he does in the lane and do what he's doing in the league. Like, I mean, you could really argue he's one of the top 10 players in the NBA. So he's unbelievable. His work is everything for him. Like, magic is in the work, is what he lives by. And it's definitely, the work is definitely showing. So he's super happy, super proud of him and all the success that he's having. And it's it's only going to get better. So, yeah, it's
pretty cool.
really cool.
That's cool. Have you developed any relationships with any other, high level players, from all of these connections you've made?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like see, when I was with Dave, like we'd train and, like DiVincenzo, a couple other guys would be in the gym. And, I've gotten to know a bunch of other athletes just from kind of being in the mix. Like one summer they had like a pre-draft, like in 2019 or 2020, like Obi Toppin, a bunch of other dudes that were kind of in the gym. But yeah, I was able to develop like good relationship, but mostly friendship relationships, not like on a basketball level. But yeah, just got to see. I've just got to been lucky enough to see a lot of people, work out in the gym, or again, then get to know them as a bonus, kind of on top, and get to know them as a person. But yeah, I got to see some pretty cool people working out.
So now you're back at Maryland.
Yeah.
This is currently working with the women's team in a video role.
Yeah.
Explain that. Like, what does that entail? What are you doing?
So I'm still in school, so still have one more semester left of actual school. So my plan was try to look for a men's graduate assistant job, and you got to obviously be in graduate school for that. So got to get my undergrad first. So yeah, I took some time off school like a while ago, back when I was coaching with Camden. So still finishing up. So the women's team, they were like, I couldn't really find a college job because like you have to be out of school to be in a job. So yeah, I'm still actually doing the scout stuff on top of it. So I'm still getting to sweat like a couple times a week, working with the team, but also like helping, break down film to the video guy, like in a secondary role, like nothing too crazy. Where like I'm not like they don't pay me because again, you can't be paid if you go to school there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been cool. It's been cool to kind of just see the whole. Like I've been there for 5 years, so now to see like how different everything is and how different the coaching staff's the exact same, but how different everything is ran, like from practice to film, and how everything's just kind of advanced. It feels like it's just like everyone is like the film room is more advanced. They're building a new practice facility. There's NIL involved. There's so much that goes into coaching. It's like, how do you have time for like anything else? But it's been cool. It's been cool to see like just again the development and the growth that like Coach Freeze, like how she's running her program is completely different than how I think they have 12 transfers on their team this year.
Jeez.
Which is unbelievable. But again, I was saying like speaks volumes to how good she is of like connecting that group. Yeah. I think they're going to be really good this year.
So have you seen NIL impact that program?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like what I was saying back when I first got there, that team was, I thought, the best team in the country. They lost in the Final Four to Texas, who ended up losing South Carolina. And their 5 best players transferred. And this was like the start of NIL. And I think Angel went to LSU. A lot of NIL had to do LSU. Like a lot of those teams in the South, they have a lot of donorship, a lot of, stuff like that that'll draw athletes in. But
for sure,
again, you're still at that time, you're in like, okay, this is women's basketball. Like the market's not huge. Like obviously you have men's football, men's basketball, other men's sports that are getting a lot of the funding. So it's not huge, but now obviously the NIL for her was unbelievable. Seeing it, we played Iowa twice a year. I was fortunate enough to go to Iowa on one of the trips. I'm a big Clarke fan. She's unbelievable. So she's 1-7, I think, against Maryland. She had got her first win in her last game at the Xfinity Center last year, barely. And we weren't that good. Like middle of the pack. Middle to the bottom of the conference, and they were obviously the best team in the conference, and she barely snuck by us. But she's unbelievable, and NIL has obviously changed Angel Reese's life.
Absolutely.
And it's done a lot for all sports, positive and a little negative. But I think all in all, it's impacted. We've had so many transfers, so many 5th-year graduates. Like it's like really these girls and guys from other sports are really on 1-year contracts. Like so that's why. I think, especially coaching now, it's just so tough. You really have to make sure that you don't get too close or stay. It's tough. So I don't.
That's why on the men's side, a lot of these guys are leaving, retiring because it's just not what they got in it for.
Exactly. You see so many guys, some of the top guys. And I think recently was Tony Bennett. He's. I mean, it hasn't really come out exactly why he left, but I mean. you can almost guarantee that a lot of these guys, they're in it for the X's and O's, for the kids, for the relationships, for all that, and all that stuff's kind of thrown out the window when you kind of feel like you're coaching in the pros, where these guys you have guys in the team. There's a kid on Tennessee football that's making more than the coach, so it's like, how are you controlling someone? That's like, and not to rant, but like Danny Hurley, I was reading something about him the other day about how he with the Lakers job, and he's like, I'm never gonna be able to tell LeBron James to go run stairs. But it's like the same thing now. It's like these kids are getting paid just as much. You like, how are you going to tell a kid who's making more money than you what to do? So I think it's tough right now, college coaching.
And the only way he can do it right now is because he just won 2 national championships.
Right.
So
now he can tell his kids to do whatever they want.
He has that luxury, whereas some of these other guys who aren't winning, it's tough for them to do that.
Yeah.
Speak about Caitlin Clarke when you went to Iowa. How was that experience?
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, I've never been to a big-time college football game, but I assume, being in the South, I'm assuming that's what it is like. It's just like you're in Des Moines, Iowa, which is like in the middle of nowhere. Like you drive from the airport and you see nothing but forest, and then there's like this massive university, and you're playing in this huge dome where they have nothing there other than the University of Iowa. So like schools like Arkansas and all in Kentucky, where like these people just rally around these college teams as if it's their pro team. And she is just, I mean, even the atmosphere at the Xfinity Center in College Park, Maryland was unbelievable. Yeah. And but that home game, and I went there, like, she'd just scored, like, she just broke the Big Ten record.
Okay.
So, like, she wasn't, like, on the national record yet because it was, like, a year before. Yeah. But she had, like, just broken some record. And it was unbelievable. Like, it was, like, these people are screaming, like, and then also the other side, it's like we go to College Park, Maryland, and then like next thing you know, like we're looking up, like we have a solid crowd. Yeah. It's not nothing crazy, but it's like whatever. It's fully packed, and like next thing you know, like half the stadium's all wearing black and yellow. I'm like, it's like an away game,
right? And
it's like every girl, she's just, I mean, she's like the Taylor Swift of women's basketball. And on top of all that, she's a heck of a player. Like in the scout, I was you got it. Everyone leading up to the game, every scout guy gets a jersey number, like who you are, and who you are, right? Yeah. So they tell you this is what you shoot threes and you shoot layups. You don't shoot any mid ranges, and you're not a good passer, and you don't dribble, so don't dribble. But Caitlin Clarke, I was Caitlin Clarke when we. Oh wow! So huge honor. And that practice, I'm just pulling from half. Like I can't. I'm airballing my shots. So like I'm like, damn, she's really. And then I see the game the next day, and she's really pulling from like half court and like swooshing it. So I'm like, oh my God. And like these girls are like, yeah, she's really, and I'm not surprised at all how good she's been this year. And she's going to continue to be, and she's going to be the best player. And yeah, that whole experience in Iowa was unlike any sporting event I've ever been to. But I'm assuming it would be like if Georgia played against Alabama in football. It was loud, and it was like people were like, we got there and like there was tent set up, and like, I was like, you felt like it was a football game about to go on. That's cool. But it was like, but we were good at that time too, so it was a big game, and we beat them by 30. But yeah, it was. Got to sneak that in there. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts? And you spoke about it a little bit on the WNBA, and you know how it's come. Obviously, this year it made a huge leap. Even our producer over here was tuning in the games.
Yes, sir.
You know, he's even obviously, you know, we spoke about it before we came on. He's obviously a New York Liberty fan. Obviously. So, you know, they won the championship. He did not attend the parade, though.
No.
He missed out. He thought it was going to be a little too crowded. But what are your thoughts on WNBA and the directions it's going and what it's going to take to keep it going?
It's obviously trending in the right direction. It's basically, I think from a basketball player standpoint, like, I went into this whole scout thing kind of thinking like, there's no way these girls are like I'm going to be able to walk in the park. The only problem I got to worry about is that the ball's a little bit later, like if I can get my buckets. But these girls are good. Like there's some really good players. The skill gap is not as big as people make it out to be. It's really just the physicality and the athleticism and the quickness that is really the gap. So I think it's really cool that people are kind of getting to see how good these girls are, that there is like a girl like Sabrina Ionescu that can hit a shot like Steph Curry to win that game. And this stuff, as a person who likes to watch like offensive sets and stuff like that, the coaching is really good. Right. So I think it's really good that, And a lot of it has to do with Kevin Clarke and Angel Reese, that they kind of bring this publicity towards the game, and I think it's trending in the right way. And I think like when you talk financially, it's hard because like, you know, it's shared revenue. That's how these guys get paid in the NBA, because like all these TV deals. So it's not like people are choosing not to play them, but all these years it was like these girls weren't getting paid a lot of money because no one was watching it. So I think as they structure TV deals, and I think hopefully college basketball, they're in good hands with Juju Watkins, who Maryland's got to play twice a year now because USC's in the Big Ten,
which is crazy.
And Hannah Hidalgo, who's from Jersey, from South Jersey. She's unbelievable. Paige Becker is still in college. I don't know how, but she's still in college. She's unbelievable. So, you know, you still have these big names that people are now getting to know. And I think just getting to being able to watch, like, the game, people are starting, as basketball fans, at least for me, is like are kind of starting to gain that respect.
Absolutely.
You're going to have naysayers that are like, there's no way this girl's better than me. I'm better than I might be the best player in the WNBA. Maybe if you're good, like, and maybe you would, but that's not the point. Like, it's just that these girls can play. They're passionate. They're not like, they're just like the men. They want to win. They want to compete. They want people to see them. You know, they have skills, so they want people to watch them. I think Caitlin and Angel kind of lay that foundation, but I think the girls coming up could take it to a different level. And obviously you have all these phenomenal WNBA players like Brandon Stewart, Ionescu, Alyssa Thomas, Maryland alumni. Really good players that you kind of be like, wow, I didn't even know these people were here. Like, people didn't even know who Brandon Stewart was. And I'm like, she's unbelievable. So I think it's cool. In that sense, I think it's really cool that people were able to now watch the game in a different lens and kind of have a different respect for it. So that's cool.
Good. So now that you're getting winding down at Maryland, what are you looking to do when you're done?
It's a good question. So sounds like what my mom would ask me.
She told me to ask.
Yeah. So what would I do definitely want to stay involved in basketball, for sure. A lot of kids, like when I grew up, were just like, they wanted to, you know, get into business or get into whatever it is. And I thought about that for like a while, but basketball, like, always been a constant, like I said before. So I definitely want to stay with that. Yeah. So honestly, I think entry level, like grad assistant would be great. Like I love college basketball. Men's or women's, honestly. Men's obviously more of an opportunity for like where I want to get to long term and more opportunity for growth. The grad assistant would be great. Any entry level job where I could, you know, kind of get my feet wet and, you know, learn more. I'm always willing to learn. So just any of those jobs would be interesting.
That's cool. I'm sure you'll get there. So we are winding down here. I'm going to hit you with some quick hitters.
Go ahead.
Okay. Go-to food place at Maryland.
Like talking like fast food?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's you just got done practice. Okay. You're done for the day. I need to get something to eat. Where are you going?
Well, luckily, if anyone out there is listening that is in high school and wants to go to Maryland and be a scat guy, they provide food for you. So, the best spot that they get, it's a good question. They got Mission Barbecue a couple times, which is, normally it's a healthy meal. So, like, you know, they're athletes, so they got to be healthy. Yeah. Mission Barbecue, really, it's a chain, so I'm sure they have them around. Pretty solid spot. So I'll go with Mission Barbecue.
Got it. Okay. Best NBA player of all time.
Michael Jordan, no question about it.
Okay. What music are you currently listening to?
What music? Like what artist?
Yeah, like what
genre.
Whatever you're feeling.
What did you play when you was on your way here?
Yeah, on your way here.
Rod Wave. Okay. Just dropped a new album. It's solid. I like Rod Wave. If I'm going chill. If I'm going like more upbeat, Future, obviously like Drake. Nothing too like. Yeah. I'm not into like old music though. Like I've tried like 80s, 90s stuff.
What's old music?
80s, 90s. Like it's not my speed. Like the Bon Jovis and stuff like that. Like I respect those dudes, but it's not my speed.
Okay, all right. Let's go with your favorite pro team. So we're gonna start off NFL favorite pro team.
Oh, that is a favorite pro team.
Pro teams.
Pro teams.
NFL favorite team.
Philadelphia Eagles. That's my only like real squad. But okay, yeah, Philadelphia Eagles.
What do you mean you don't? Okay, so does that mean you don't follow really?
Like I follow the Phillies. Don't get me wrong. Like when they're in the playoffs, I'm all in. Like let's go Phillies. But like when they lost, I'm like I wasn't like in shambles.
So you weren't like
I'm more upset about an Eagles loss on a Sunday in the regular season than I would be like when the Phillies lost to the Mets.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
No, I understand.
I don't love I
understand.
when the bats are going. A couple years ago, when they were like hitting home run after home run, that's awesome. Like, that was great. I love watching that. But like,
yeah.
Okay.
But they were doing that. They were doing that this year too. Just fizzled out
a little bit. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I only tapped into
flamed out. Happens.
It happens.
Happens.
All right, we can talk. Let's move on. I don't want to talk about my Phillies right now. So what about basketball?
Basketball is tough. I'm not a Sixers fan.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a Sixers fan. That's for sure. I like the Knicks. I like to watch the Knicks. There's a lot of connection there with the Knicks.
That's fair.
From the point guard to the coach to the GM. So there's a lot of
that's fair.
A lot of connection there. So I like watching them. I love Jason Tatum. He's probably one of my favorite players. So I like watching Celtics also.
Wow.
Not the bandwagon. Those are like the two best teams in
Yeah.
but yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns trade?
Oh God, how do I say this without getting into any trouble? I like the team they had last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Karl Anthony Towns is a great player. Like, I think you're definitely moving the needle a little bit, getting an all-star. I don't know Julius Randle, so I mean, he was a great player. I think similar comparison. I think losing DiVincenzo seems to be pretty big. I mean, what was he, third in the NBA in threes last year behind Luka and stuff? So that seems like it hurt. They don't really have too much outside shooting, it seems like. People want to – Mikal Bridges can shoot. People want to clown his jump shot, but he can –
What happened to that?
I think he's good. I think people are just dragging him.
I think he's very good.
I think his jump shot's good. Like, it looked good when I watched. I'm like, it looks a little crazy, but
Why'd he change it?
I have no idea. But I mean, as long as it goes in, I think it'll be. Losing DiVincenzo might hurt them. I don't know. I hope not.
What about Hartenstein?
Hartenstein, I don't think they could afford him. I think that's what I heard, but
they paid Towns though. I mean, so obviously they could have
Bridges.
And Bridges. I just want to know: do you feel like they're going to lose? They lost something with Hartenstein?
Yeah, I think Hartenstein and Mitch Robinson were perfect duo for them. Like, you got a rim runner, shot blocker, rebounder, and then you got like a dude who could make passes from the pocket. Hit a floater, hit a jump shot. He got paid. He's gonna be really big for OKC. He's gonna be huge for OKC. Yeah. Him and Chet are gonna be a better version of what it was in New York, honestly. But yeah, Hartenstein, he was fun to watch.
All right, give me your top 5 Maryland players since you've been there, men or women. All right, so you got to put a team together of just these 5 were the best. Obviously in there, the women they're the best. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. I want to do one with South Jersey after this one too. So we'll do
South Jersey and North Jersey. I'm sorry, or New Jersey.
I want to do because I know you did one with Fred, and I want to do one also. But I'll go with Maryland first.
Okay.
Maryland. I'm gonna do. The men. I don't really know like that, so I'm gonna do mostly women.
Okay.
Ashley Owusu, point guard. I think she was Big Ten first team a couple of times. She ended up transferring, had health issues, was at Penn State. She's in Israel now. She's the best woman I've ever played against by far. Do your homework on Ashley Owusu. She's a bucket. She's the point guard. Who's the 2 guard? I'll go Anthony Cowan, 2 guard. I was tapped into Maryland in 2019 men's. Like, when I first got there, they were like one of the top 5 teams in the country, and he was like one of those steady college guys, so you knew probably wasn't going to be an NBA player, but was a really good college player.
Yep.
So I'll give him that. Then I'm going to go. Who's my 3? I'll go Aaron Wiggins, 3. He was really good.
Another NBA guy.
He plays for the Thunder. He was solid. What? Okay, so let me get some girls. I'm going to go Diamond Miller at the 4.
I was waiting for that one.
Diamond was number 2 pick in the WNBA draft. She was freak athlete, great defender, great. She was a good offensive player, but really, really good defender. Like, tough. She was not falling for anything in practice. So she's probably my 4, and then I'm gonna go Angel Reese at the 5. Yeah, I'm gonna go Angel Reese at the 5. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change. I'm gonna take Aaron Wiggins out, and I'm gonna put Cheyenne Sellers in at the 2. She's currently on the women's team.
Now
Gonna win Big Ten Player of the Year over Juju Watkins. That's my Maryland
that's
starting.
That's a hot take right there. That's a hot take. Okay, so you said you want to do a South Jersey one.
Oh yeah, I want to do people that I played with.
So people you've played with.
Yeah.
All right, so this is your. So here's how we do it. People you've played with that have been on a team, not an all-star game, not a pickup game. It could be AAU or your high school team.
Okay.
Or any team you've played on, like
even
a team.
before that, like or just when.
Listen, as long as you're on a team with them,
Okay.
you have some pretty good young teams.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not going to include myself. Pat Kernan, the one.
Pat Kernan at the one.
Absolutely. Pat Kernan
From
was
Shawnee High School.
Shawnee High School. Unfortunately, never ended up, playing at that next level. But he was very, very good.
Yes.
Him at the one. Oh my God.
You said you wanted to do this.
Mike DePersia at the two.
Mikey DePersia at the two. Okay.
Yeah, him and Pat. They're
interchangeable.
They're both point guards.
Where's he at? Where was he from?
Mike.
He went to Haddonfield.
He's from Cherry Hill. I went to elementary school and I grew up with him. He played at IUPUI and then finished at Lemoyne.
Okay.
Really good player.
Yes.
Carl Gibson at the three.
Carl Gibson at the three.
We're a little small, but we'll make it up.
Pat's 6'5".
Yeah, right. Okay. Carl Gibson at the three.
Swear it always gets tough when you gotta get some size.
Size. I haven't played with too many great big men. That's only where I was. We'll go with. Might be small. Connor Devaney.
Connor Devaney, Shawnee High School.
We're going to shoot you at the gym. This team.
Yeah, this team can shoot.
And then who's a shooting big man? That I played with. Joey D'Antonio.
Okay, Joey D'Antonio.
Joey D'Antonio is one of the best shooters I've ever played with. So you got size at the point guard. You got a true point guard, Mike DePersia.
Yeah.
You can shoot it. Pat Kernan, 6'5", point guard. You can shoot a little bit. Carl can shoot it. What was that on my team? Who's my four?
Connor
Devaney, he can shoot skin off the ball. And
Joey
D'Antonio.
That's a tough little squad.
Yeah,
okay.
You're not going to guard anybody, but
you guys aren't playing any.
You're not playing. You got to have to trust.
Where's Connor from?
Connor Devaney, he's from Shawnee. He's low.
Now he's,
or
he was.
Him and his brother both were.
He turned into a tight end, and I think he went to University of Richmond.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And his brother went to Georgia Tech. Never played football.
They didn't play football.
Wow.
They were basketball. They
players.
played like for
and baseball.
half a season.
Wow.
Half a season and just they're freaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they play college football. But they were.
Were they the twins?
No,
they weren't twins.
Oh, okay.
Dylan was a year.
Okay.
2
years old.
Okay, I got you. All right, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, last question. If you could see any guest on Baseline Thoughts, who would it be? But you have to help us get your answer on the show.
Okay.
Got a lot of people. We named a lot of people here.
I'm thinking Angel Reese.
I mean, we named a lot of people.
That'll be good for this podcast.
Now, keep in mind, this is episode 6, so
Right, you got it.
there's going to be a lot of people that would help us.
I'm going to say, I think Dave Allen is a cop-out answer.
That's a cop-out answer.
Yep.
That's a cop-out.
Okay, I think someone else.
That's a cop-out answer.
He's bound to be on it.
Yeah, your bag is too deep to go with Dave Allen.
Okay.
I mean, even one of these Maryland players out of there now, or an assistant coach from Maryland. Anybody, just somebody we can get outside the box a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I can get your assistant coach from Maryland. I got a great relationship with Jess, my girl Jess, the assistant coach, one of the assistant coaches at University of Maryland. She can talk forever. She's in charge of putting us through plays and stuff.
Oh.
Put in the scout team?
Yeah, through the team's plays and stuff like that. She's a great basketball mind, and she's been coaching for a while. She's younger, but she's been coaching for a while. I can hit Jess up. She
Awesome.
if you guys should get over the Zoom or whatever.
Yeah, that's how we do.
Because she's in Maryland, but she's
awesome.
She knows what she's talking about.
Awesome. Well, Sam, we've come to an end here. I appreciate you coming on. You gave us a lot of behind the scenes look at some things, especially with the Camden High and the Angel Reese stuff. I think it was very interesting to hear some of the stuff that maybe we didn't know about before. So I really appreciate you coming on. Good luck with your scout team role and also with life after Maryland with trying to get into coaching and all that stuff that I know you're going to be successful with. So
For sure.
I appreciate you coming on.
Got you. Yeah. Anytime. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So that's a wrap. Episode 6, Baseline Thoughts. Please check us out, like us, follow it, leave some comments, and stay tuned for the next episode. Have a good one. Thank you for watching Baseline Thoughts, powered by Baseline Hoops. Check out Baseline Hoops for all your basketball development needs. Please visit us on all social media platforms at Baseline Hoops NJ. If you like the show, please like and leave a comment, and let us know if you have any topics you would like to hear on Baseline Thoughts.